Dạ con kính bạch sư ông, kính thưa
Dear
quý sư
respected
bà,
teacher,
sư
dear
quý
venerable
thầy, quý thầy
nuns,
cô
monks, and dear
và tất cả
brothers,
bà con Việt Nam.
sisters, and all
Một lần nữa thì
Mahasangha, the beloved
con xin
community.
chào mừng tất cả bà
Once
con tới
again, we would like to welcome all of
vào đây và nhìn những
our,
gương mặt
our
đậm đà thân
wonderful
thương này.
Vietnamese community
Chủ đề khóa
friends
tu của chúng ta năm
who
nay có
come
tựa đề là hơi thở,
to us
nuôi dưỡng và
for
trị
this
liệu.
occasion. This year, our theme is our breath that gives us nourishment,
Sáng nay
nourishing
khi
us
mà
and
con ngồi
healing us.
để
This
quán chiếu
morning,
xem
when
mình sẽ chia sẻ cái gì.
I sat still in
Thì khi mà con
stillness
vừa
this
đi thì
morning
con nhớ
in
tới sư
order
ông
to
và
see
cảm
what I'm
thấy rất
gonna
là
share.
xúc động và biết
So
ơn.
this during the Dhamma talk, and it occurs to me that our teacher
Thì là
Sư
một nhân
Ông
vật
comes
rất
to
là
my
nổi tiếng trên thế
memories.
giới,
He's a very
đồng thời
world-renowned
nhà văn, nhà thơ,
historian,
hoạt động
the
cho
poet,
hòa bình.
the peace
Nhưng
activist,
trên hết thì sư
the
ông là một hành
poet.
giả
But first of
và
all,
rất là
he's a
quan trọng để lại
practitioner,
cho cuộc đời.
and the
Không
legacy
phải
he
là một bức
left
thư pháp
behind
hay là những
for
sự nhiệt
their
tình
for
xả láng
life
xanh
is
lá,
not about his
hay là một
calligraphies or
hành
his
giả,
work
mà con thấy rất
for
là
the
cảm kích
but
và
it's
nhân
really
loại
the
và cảm kích
legacy left
đối lại
behind
bản
from
thân
him
và sự lạc lõng.
that I'm really appreciating, and the world is appreciating
Nhưng mà
is the
có phân
practice he
và bao
left,
gồm
the method of
đoàn thể
practice,
về
and the
những cái ngôn
sangha, the community.
và
And the
các
sangha
vị
is
cư sĩ
composed of
cùng kinh nghiệm.
fourfold sanghas
Nếu như
or
mình có pháp
manifold
môn mà
sangha.
mình không có pháp môn để thực tập
If we have a sangha
thì
and
đó
we
không
don't
phải
have a
là chân
concrete
tăng.
way of
Đó
practice,
chỉ là một
that
phần
is
thưởng
not a
hình
true
thức
sangha.
mà
It's
không
not a
có
true
nội dung.
community. It's only there
Và
for
nếu như
their
mình có
show
một sự
without
thực tập rất là
content.
mầu nhiệm, rất
Only
là
when we have the
dẫn, rất là thực
concrete,
tế, nhưng mà
effective,
không
and
có người
realistic
hành trì,
ways of practice,
không
but we
có
don't
người
have
duy trì giáo
practitioners
chủ,
to maintain it
thì tất
and
cả những cái pháp môn đó
to
chỉ là những cái
practice.
vỏ thôi,
Those
xương cứng
practices
thôi và
would
không có nội dung.
be without
Nhưng mà chúng ta
meanings.
thì rất là may mắn,
But we are so
thầy để lại cho
fortunate
mình một cái gia
that
tài.
our teacher has
Mình có
left
một sự tu
behind
học cụ thể
such
nhất là khóa
a
tu này. Tất cả chúng
legacy
ta đã đến với nhau để tu tập,
clearly
để nuôi dưỡng
shown
và
in
giữ gìn
this
những gì mà sư ông
retreat
đã để
that we
lại.
all came together
Rất
in
là thập
order to
phương
practice
gọi sư
and to
ông là một vị
maintain
thầy,
the
vị
practice
cha đẻ của chánh niệm. Và
that
khi
our
mà nói
teacher
tới sự
left
thực tập ở bên
behind.
ngoài
The
thì
Westerners
nó chỉ
would
gói gọn
consider
ở
he's
niệm
the
xứ,
father
chánh niệm.
of this
Thì hôm nay chúng ta
tradition
sẽ đi
of
sâu
the
hơn một chút về
mindfulness
chánh niệm.
of this practice.
Vậy thì chánh niệm là
So
gì?
today we simply
Thực
discuss
tập
about
nó như thế nào?
mindfulness. What is the
Có lợi ích
mindfulness?
gì?
How do we practice and what benefits
Thì
it
đối
brings
với
about?
chánh niệm là một nguồn
So
năng lượng
simply,
thải
it is
soi
the
chiếu
energy,
thấu rõ
wholesome
những gì
energy
đang xảy ra
capable
ở nơi tâm và hoàn cảnh
of shining
xung quanh
light
mình
on
trong giây phút hiện
whatever in
tại.
your mind, in your
Tuy
body,
nhiên
and in
khi
your
mà nói tới chánh niệm thì
circumstance in the
vẫn
present
dù là có một
moment.
cái định nghĩa như vậy nhưng mình lại cảm thấy
Although
nó
there's a
rất chung chung,
definition
nó
like
mơ
that, but it
hồ,
seems still
nó không thể chính xác được.
abstract. I don't know if the
Ví
rest of
dụ
us
nhé,
feels the
là nếu như mình
same.
nói là mình uống
Um,
á, thì mình uống cái gì đúng không?
so when we
Hay
talk
là mình
about
ăn
drink,
thì mình
we
ăn cái
drink
gì?
what and
Hoặc
we
là
eat
mình
what.
ghét, hoặc là mình ghét cái gì, mình yêu
Or
thương, yêu
when we
thương cái gì.
hate or
Thì
love,
chánh niệm nó cũng vậy, nó không phải có
what's the
một đối
object
tượng.
of our hate or our
Trong
love?
Phật
Same
giáo,
thing with
chánh niệm
mindfulness,
được
it has
xem
an
là bốn
object.
đối tượng căn bản.
It's divided
Thứ
in
nhất
the
là thân,
Buddhist
thọ,
tradition
tâm và
into
cảm giác.
into um,
Thân á, là
into the four
những giác thuộc
division:
về hơi thở và hơi thở
body,
của mình.
feelings. Um,
Thọ là những cái
um,
cảm giác của mình.
so that's
Cảm
one
giác là
is
có cảm giác dễ
body,
chịu,
second
khó
is
chịu.
feelings,
Mà
and
vì
third
khi
is
nó
the
không khó
mind, and
chịu,
fourth
không
is
dễ
all
chịu.
dhammas phenomenal, and tongue is the
Tâm
body,
là cái hành tâm
and
ý, tại vì
feelings
tâm
sometimes
hành
pleasant, not pleasant. The
sống trong
mind
Phật giáo
is the mental
nó chia ra
formation,
hai
and the
thành
mind
hai mươi
is
21 tâm
about,
hành.
so it
Ví dụ là
divided
thiện giác biết,
in the Buddhist
diệu
tradition
tinh tấn,
into the 51 mental
còn giận
formations. So
hờn ghét
divided up for
bỏ
us to
tự
easily
ti
practice. It has
ganh tị
anger.
là
It
có những
has
cái tâm hành
complexes, it has hate, it has, but it's, those are unwholesome. But also there's also wholesome like joy, the ease, um, and dharmas is the objects of our perception. And we the Vietnamese tended to think that we perceive, we have perceptions. When we look at something, it gives rise in us a perception, and that's called perception. When we see, for example, when we see a shivering woman, an old person in the middle of the street, and somebody comes and brings and walks the elderly person across the street, and we perceive, oh, that person is so wonderful, so kind. And when we experience somebody's yelling, it comes into our perception like, oh, that person is not kind. But sometimes our perceptions are right, and mostly sometimes it's not right. It's based on our prejudices or our past experiences in our lifetime. So no one is right and no one is wrong. Perception is an energy field that allows us to perceive and to conceptualize some its energy. Therefore, is categorized in sometimes weak and sometimes strong. And how? So the question is remains on how to strengthen our energy of mindfulness. It really depends on our practice. And our teacher has mentioned many times in his Dhamma talks, when he said once he discovered there are 16 breathing exercises with mindfulness. He was so happy. Anapati Sutta, the sutra he found out. And once he realized this, what brought him the joys, the most joyful thing in his practice, he used his whole life to elaborate, to practice this, and to really bring it to other people, because he really went through the experience of joy after practicing these 16 exercises of breathing with full awareness through what has happened in his life in the war time in Vietnam, with what happened to his disciples that almost nearly dying, or his own mother passing, all these ordeals, all these major events that had happened in his life had brought about depression and insomnia in him. And so when he experienced these difficult times, what had helped him mainly was this Anapati Sutra, the 16 exercises of breathing with full awareness that has helped him, had rescued him. So I said many objects for our practice. And one of the practices that our teacher has used is the breathing. So when we follow our breathing, from practice following our breathing, it helps strengthening the mindfulness. And our practice firstly on the body. The object of our mindfulness will be on the body, and the body is interconnected with our mind. Many times the Vietnamese culture will say, you don't have to practice the body. You could just practice with your mind. As long as your mind, you practice quietly with your mind. But and that is a lazy way. It's just a saying, but it's really lazy on the practice on the body. Or just as long as your mind is focusing on your practice, focus on your mind. That's all. But that's the lazy way, because the body is important. The breathing is right in the body, is the energy, is the breath is the energy field, and it helps easing our body. The quality of our breaths reflects our mind, you see. So, have you ever paid attention when you sad, your breathing pattern would be different, and it has different when we're happy and different when we are at peace. So, of course, the patterns of our breathing very different at each state of a mind. So now you are invited to sit quietly and sit stillly to listen. While listening to the bell, the sound of the bell, while listening to the bell, we can observe what our body is like and what is in our mind while listening to the sound of the bell.
Thầy chúng thấy sao? Có khỏe không?
How do you
Có ai
feel?
suy nghĩ
Do
trong
you
khi
feel
thở?
better? Has anyone
Ai có suy nghĩ trong
been
khi thở thì
thinking
giơ tay lên.
why you breathing? You can raise your hand.
Thầy cũng sao bình thường thôi.
It's
Bây giờ con xin
normal.
hỏi một câu hỏi khác.
It's okay.
Trong đại chúng
Now
này
I
mà
would like to
ai
ask
độc
another
thân xin giơ tay lên.
questions. Is anyone here single? You can raise your
Ít vậy.
hands.
Các thầy
Oh,
cô
it's
sao thấy
only a
ngồi im
few.
thui.
Why is the monks and nuns so sit still? We have to
Rồi
raise
câu
our
hỏi thứ
hands because we
hai.
are
Ai
so
đang yêu
single.
xin giơ tay
The
lên.
second, who is in love right now? You can raise your
Ai đang
hand in
yêu.
a relationship in love.
Các thầy các cô cũng ngồi im ru luôn.
The brother and sister also sit quietly without raising their hands.
Khi mình nói tới độc
Um,
thân á, thì ở ngoài độc
when
thân
we
có nghĩa là
talk
mình chưa có gia
about
đình.
single
Nhưng
out
mà
there,
tiếng
the
Việt nó
word
hay lắm.
single is without
Độc là thứ
family,
nhất.
but in
Độc thân có nghĩa là cái
Vietnamese
thân của
is
mình.
single is
Vì
it
bây giờ
means
mình có gia đình, mình có con
is the
cái, mình
only
làm
one
bà rồi
thing.
ai
Our
hỏi mình á,
body is
thì
the
mình phải nói mình
only
độc
one
thân
thing.
luôn.
So now that we know the practice, everyone asks
Tại
us,
vì
we
đối với
can
chụp
say we
hình á,
single because
mình có
we only
thể đi
have one
ra
single
rất là
body.
nhiều bản và mình sẽ
So
thấy là
and
mình có thể là cả trăm cả ngàn tấm như nhau.
if you print
Nhưng mà
out
con
the
người thật á, thì
photos
chỉ
of
duy
your
nhất có một
body,
thôi
of your person, you
và mình là độc nhất.
can make copies like to
Và khi mà
thousands
mình
of
nói
them,
tới
but it's
yêu
a
á, thì
real
mình luôn
person.
nghĩ
You're
tới người
only
yêu,
the
người lứa thôi.
only one,
Nhưng mà
the
cũng tránh
single
thôi,
one entity in
có thể
this
yêu
whole
đôi lứa,
universe.
mình
And
yêu gia
when we
đình,
talk about
mình yêu bản
love,
thân,
it talks about
mình yêu quê
the
hương, đất nước,
mutual,
mình yêu
like
thiên nhiên.
uh,
Cho nên tất
uh,
cả
uh,
chúng ta ai cũng độc
love
thân hết
between
và ai cũng đang
partners, you
yêu hết.
see.
Mà
But
những người độc
so
thân đang
really,
yêu á,
when we
thì
talk
có thể
about
vẽ.
love, we can talk about love for the country, love for friends, love for parents, all kinds of
Thì
love,
khi
love
mình
for
tu
nature.
thân á,
So when we
thì
practice on the
thật sự ông có một
body,
cái câu mà con rất là tâm đắc.
body in the body
Ừm,
practice,
Mà con nghĩ nếu
our
mọi người
teacher
được thì
has
mình có
one
thể
sentence that
làm
I
với thầy các cô
really
viết thư pháp, mình treo ở
feel
nhà để mình nhớ.
wonderful
Đó
to,
là
and
thân
you can
thể là
take.
đền thờ của tâm linh.
So he said one
Bởi vì
statement
không có
like
thân á,
the
thì cũng không
body
có
is the
tâm.
temple
Mà không có
of
thân
our
thể thì lấy cái gì để mà
spirituality.
tu, để mà đạt
So
tới
if
trình độ tâm linh.
we don't
Tâm
have
thân
the
tâm là một.
body, how can
Mình
we
thương
reach
ai, mình kính
the
trọng ai,
spirituality?
mình không
How
phải
can
là
we
kính
reach the
trọng cái tâm
mind?
của người đó
We
không,
don't need to
mà mình
respect
phải
that
kính trọng
body
cả cái
only.
thân của người
We
đó
have to
nữa.
also respect
Vậy thì mình
the
hỏi cái
mind.
thân
We
của
don't
mình cũng
even
vậy.
have to respect
Có phải là
only the
cả cuộc
mind. We
đời
have
của
to
mình á,
respect the body.
bao nhiêu năm ở trên
Ask
đi học
ourselves the
12 năm đi giảng đường,
questions. 12
đi học
years
rồi
of
thêm bao nhiêu
in
năm học đại
school
học
and
để cố gắng
elementary,
không học
secondary
đại học thì
school,
cũng ráng
I
học
know.
nghề,
And then beyond that,
làm
we have
mọi
to
thứ học
go
hành để
into
làm gì?
college, or if not
Có phải là
college,
cũng
is
để
an
nuôi thân không?
occupational school. What do we study for?
Cho nên
If
ai cũng
it's
yêu cái
not
thân của mình hết.
because of taking care of our
Thấy là
body.
sợ tóc
So
bạc
you
rồi
see,
soi gương hoài.
everyone has to take care of the body first.
Soi
The
gương
domain
người
of the body
thấy
is
mình mà
so
có một cái thân
important.
thể khỏe
If we
mạnh
see our body is
thì thường ít khi
well
mình
and
để ý, mình thấy
healthy,
vui lắm.
and we normally don't
Thường mình
pay
chỉ thấy là ồ
attention,
sao mặt mình
we
nó chưa
only
được đẹp, mặt
normally
mình chưa
see,
này
oh,
nọ.
why our face is not
Thì
as
chúng
fresh,
ta
it's
rất là
not
yêu cái
beautiful
thân của
as the
mình.
other face.
Nhưng mà đối
So
phương thì
most of
yêu
us,
thân.
all of us love our body, the domain of body,
Và cái thân
but
á, của
mostly we
mình
don't
cần
love
ăn để
our
sống,
body in the
để
right
khỏe
way, in
mạnh
the
thì cái
proper
tâm của
way.
mình á,
So we
nó cũng
eat
cần
and we
ăn để khỏe
nourish our
mạnh.
body, but we
Khi mình tập
forgot
thể
that
dục
our
để làm cho
mind
cái thân
needs
mình khỏe
to be
lên
nourished as
thì tâm
well.
mình nó cũng
When
tốt
we
lên.
exercise, it's really to enhance the strength of our body. But once our body's
Thì
strength
khi
is
mà mình bị
increased, our mind
đi
is
vào trong tu viện
also,
mà
the
mình thích
health of our
leo
mind is
thì
also
khi mà
enhanced.
gym á,
So once
mà phải
one
học
person wants to become a monastic, the very first thing they have to
đó là
learn
huấn luyện cái tâm của
is
mình
to train our
trong
mind
các tư thế đi
in
đứng
all
nằm
the four
ngồi.
cardinal positions:
Nhưng mà
walk,
mình không
stand,
có làm
laying
chủ được
down,
cái
and
thân của
sit.
mình á,
when we not
sẽ không
master,
có
we
làm chủ
cannot
được cái
master
thân
our
cái tâm của
body,
mình,
we cannot
nó sẽ
master the
xa dần.
mind. So
Người thật
that
sự
is
khi mà ngồi
why
xuống á,
the
cảm
aspirant
thấy sư cô
on
sẽ
the
dạy rất là
path of
kỹ
leading to
cái cách
become a
đi, cái cách
monastic,
ngồi,
the
cái cách
monastic
nằm,
community has to
cái cách
teach that
mình nhìn,
portion
mình nói
how to
chuyện.
sit, how to talk, how to stand, how to
Bốn
walk
tư
and
thế
lay
tập,
down.
cách mình đóng
Four
cửa ra làm
cardinal
sao, mình
positions,
chào
how
hỏi
to
ra làm
close the
sao, mình
door,
xếp cái áo
how
quần ra
we
sao.
greet people, how do we
Những cái đó
fold
nghĩ
our
nó bình
clothes,
thường nhưng mà
how
không,
all
nếu
these
trong những
things
cái bình
seem so
thường đó mà mình không có
simple, but
mặt
it's not really
thì rất
simple.
khó để mình
It's
nhận
not
diện được
ordinary.
những cái
If
khó
we
khăn, những cái
normal
khổ đau ở trong mình
positions of
để mình
these
chuyển
in
hóa.
daily life, if
Tại
we're
vì
not
không cái
mindful
tập
and we're
khí
not
á, cái thói
present
quen á,
for it, how can
của
we
thân nó dễ
transform
thấy,
our habit
còn cái tập
energies?
ý của mình á, thì
Because the
nó vô hình
bodily
rộng rãi.
functions easy to see,
Lúc thì
to
nói cái này,
assess,
lúc thì nói cái
but the
kia, rất
mind's
khó bị
functionality is hard to
khi mà mình
access.
thu xếp
So
được
when
cái
we
thân của
are
mình
really getting
để
down
đồng
to the
thời cái tâm của
practice
mình
to
nó
master our
cũng được
bodily
chuyển
functions,
hóa và nó như
ordinary
ý hơn.
movements first, then is it
Sư ông
gonna
thường
be
hay nói
easier for
cứ
us to
đối diện
transform our
nếu mà không
mind?
dừng được
Our
lại nơi hơi
teacher
thở,
asks, "Who
không
dare I
dừng được
dare
lại nơi
you?
bước
If you
chân
don't know
thì
how to
đối vị cái
stop
việc dừng
with your
lại trước
breathing,
những cái tuyệt
you
vọng,
can
những cái
stop
giận
with your
hờn,
steps. How can I
cái
dare?
tâm
How
hồn của
you
mình.
can stop all
Tuy
the
nhiên á, là
negative
tu
mental
thân
formations
cũng là
like
tu tâm.
anger, hatred?"
Ừ.
So
Nhưng mà tu
therefore,
thân thế nào
practicing
thì cái cách
the
mà sư
domain
ông
of body
luôn luôn hướng dẫn mình đó là trở về với
is
hơi thở.
similar,
Khi mà mình
is
vào cái khóa
as
tu á,
equal as practicing on the
mình ngồi
mind.
thiền mình cũng được
So
dạy
coming to
ngồi
the
rồi thở,
retreat,
theo dõi
you
hơi thở.
learn when sitting
Mình nằm
meditation,
buông
we
thư,
train our
xong cái
mind
trưa nay
to
mọi người
pay
ở đây thực tập
attention, to observe
thì
our
mình cứ theo dõi hơi
breathing.
thở.
So
Mình theo dõi
today,
cái
everyone has
từng bộ
an
phận trên
opportunity
trên cơ thể
to
mình và mình
have
buông
a
thư.
total
Thì khi mình
relaxation.
đi á, thì mình
During
cũng
that
kết hợp hơi thở
meditation,
với bước
it
chân.
allows us to pay
Thì khi mà
attention,
mình trở
to
về với hơi
observe
thở
our
có nghĩa
body.
là mình trở
So
về với
when we
hình
come
hài của mình.
back, our breathing
Bởi vì bình thường cuộc sống của
is
mình á, mình bị
equated
che
to
lắng.
coming back to
Và
our
khi mình
body.
nghe nói thực tập hơi
Because
thở,
in
mình
our
thấy nó
daily
rất là
life,
đơn
we
giản.
can be forgotten
Thở vào,
with the
hít thở
body.
vào,
So it seems so simple,
thở
like
ra,
breathing
hít thở
in,
ra.
knowing we are breathing in,
Ai mà
breathing
biết.
out, we know we're
Còn nhớ
breathing
ngày xưa mẹ
out.
còn lên
Who
chùa,
doesn't know? It's so
ngay
simple,
lễ Vĩnh Ty
right?
Cơ,
But
cái chuông đồng hồ thỉnh
I
thì mẹ không
remember
có
a
biết thực tập gì
story
hết.
when my mom in
Thì
Vietnam,
mẹ
when
ngồi
she
đấy căng
went to
thẳng
the
lắm.
temple
Mà tại vì
or
tới hôm mà chưa có
monastery,
nói.
she
Thì
got
xong giờ đi
stressed out
lên thì
because
mẹ nói thôi
everybody
mẹ đi
was
về đây.
quiet. So
Bữa
I
sáng mẹ nói
forgot
kêu
to get the
cái
opportunity
mẹ
to
cứ
tell
ước
my
gì á,
mom.
buổi
So
trưa
after
mẹ không
lunch,
thấy
she
ai nín
wants
thở
to
hết.
come home.
Sao
She wants to leave the
mẹ nín
monastery
thở
because
không
she
ít
said,
nhất cũng để bụng vô
after
chết đi.
lunch, I don't know
Nên là
when
thôi
you
cái này
hear,
mẹ tôi
upon
có mượn
hearing the
mẹ đi
sound of
về.
the bell, everybody
Con
stops
nói trời ơi ai
breathing.
họ cũng tận hưởng
I
hơi
don't, I
thở mà tới
can't,
mình
I
vô
feel
thì
so
xong lại khổ vậy đi chứ.
suffocated.
Thôi
And
mẹ
I
thấy
said,
tu
"Oh, mom,
khó,
everybody's
thôi
so
đi về.
happy." And mom wants to go home because she said, "Oh, it's
Thì
so
khi
weird. Everybody
cái mà
stops
chưa làm ai
breathing."
mà khó nhất
As
khi thực
if
tập hơi
she
thở
didn't know that not stop breathing,
đó
it's
là suy
breathing with
nghĩ.
exercise or with the mindfulness. She forgot that
Cái đó là cái
the
chướng ngại
stop
lớn nhất khi
the
thực tập.
obstacle in
Thường
our
mình hay
beginner
bị bất
for
bình
beginners
là bởi vì
is
mình bị trôi
the
lăn trong những suy nghĩ
thinking,
của mình.
because we are
Nếu mình suy nghĩ về quá khứ thì mình
caught
có cái
in
sự
the
hối tiếc.
thinking about the
À mình đáng
past,
như hồi
forget
đó mình đừng
in
làm cái đó ra,
we
giá như hồi đó mình
forgotten
không biết
into
điều đó,
our a
giá
vicious
như hồi
cycle of
đó mình đừng có quen cái cô
thinkings
đó, hay
about
là
the
giá như hồi
past,
đó mình đừng
or
làm cái việc đó chẳng hạn.
I,
Thì khi
imagine
mình
if
suy
I
nghĩ về
didn't
quá
do
khứ
that
thì
in
mình
the
sẽ có những
past, all these
cái
kinds of
cảm xúc,
regrets and
cái hối tiếc.
resentments, and
Còn
this
khi mình nghĩ về
brings
tương lai á,
about the future, the
thì mình lo lắng.
negative
Cái tương
feelings.
lai là cái gì
And
mà
when
mình
we
chưa biết
think
tới,
about the
cho nên mình phải
future,
biết là mình có
it
thành
brings
công
about
không,
anxiety
mình có an
because people
toàn không,
started
công
getting
việc mình làm
lost
mình
in the
ổn định không,
thinking. They don't know
hoặc là
what to
công việc
do
của mình
in
nó
the
có tốt
future. What
không.
happens if something's
Thì
not
chúng ta
good?
thường
What's
là
gonna
bị
be like
rơi
that?
vào hai
Like
cái trường hợp
for
đó,
them
cho
in the
nên chúng ta rất là
when they get
khó
older.
để
So
trở
we
về
all
với
are
hơi
caught
thở
in
và
these two
trở
extremes:
về với
is
hình hài của
either the
mình,
past
để
or
tiếp
the
xúc với gì
future.
nó đang thực sự
So
xảy
it's
ra
very
trong cái
challenging
giây
to
phút
come
này.
back to the present moment, to
Giây
come
phút
in
vừa
touch
rồi
with
nó
our
cứ
very
hiện tại,
body. And this
nó hiện
present
tại rồi.
moment is the moment of the
Có người hay nói
present,
là
in the
mình cứ nói tới
present.
hiện tại nhưng mà
Many
sau ví dụ
people
như cái
talking about
câu nói xong á, thì nó lại trở thành quá
why
khứ
we keep
rồi.
talking about the present
Thì hiện
moment.
tại ở
Right
đâu?
after
Cái đó là mình
we
chấp nhoặt
finish the
vào câu chữ.
sentence, it's already
Hiện tại, ví
becomes the
dụ như
past.
bây
If
giờ
we
mình
get
ngồi ở
caught
đây
in the
thì hiện tại của
wordings,
con á,
the
là đang ở đây.
wordings, the
Hiện tại của
language,
con
So right now, my present is you. You are my present. this
mà con
meditation
sẽ
hall
nói
is my
con sẽ
present
nói như
moment.
thế nào,
I'm here for
con sẽ
everyone
nhìn để
in this
chúng nếu mà
very
để chúng
moment.
ngáp, để
So what
chúng
I'm gonna
gãi, để
talk
chúng ngó
about,
trần nhà thì con biết là chán
I
rồi.
look at you.
Con
If
sẽ
you
bấm cái
keep
bàn gọi liền.
yawning, and then
Còn
I
khi mà
feel
bấm
like
vậy thì
you
mỉm
are
cười rồi ngó
tired, you
nghe thì
are
con biết là cái hiện tại
boring,
của
then I
mình
would
nó
just
đang tốt
close
và
off
mọi người
this
đang
Dhamma
tập
talk.
trung.
But if
Thì
I
mình xây dựng cái
pay
hiện tại
attention, I
nó là như
see that
vậy. Cho nên khi
you
mà mình
are
ngồi bên
still
con mình
awake.
á,
That means it's
thì con
okay.
mình là hiện
So
tại của mình.
that is my
Mình ngồi bên
present.
người thương của
You are
mình á,
my
thì người thương
present
của mình là
moment.
hiện tại
So
của
you
mình.
sit with your
Cho nên giây
beloved
phút nào
one,
nó cũng là hiện
this
tại hết
moment.
nếu
So
như
every
mình
moment
có
is the
mặt ở đó.
present
Thì
and
khi mình
is
trở
in
về
the
với hơi
present.
thở, nó giúp cho mình
So
trở
when
về
we
với
come
thân
back
tâm của
to
mình.
the
Cho
breathing, it
nên khi
helps
mà
to
chúng ta
us to
trở về với
come
hơi
back
thở
to
có nghĩa
our
là
body
trở về
and
với
our
hiện tại.
mind. So coming
Và
back to our
khi mà mình
breathing
có
is
mặt
to
trong
come
hiện
back
tại
to
á,
the present
thì dù chỉ
moment.
là 5
And
phút
when we
thôi,
are fully
nó
present for
cũng
the
rất là
moment,
quý. Đôi khi
for the
chúng ta nói là
present
chúng ta có
moment,
mặt cho người chúng ta
is
thương,
very
nhưng mà thực sự đó chỉ là lời nói
is
thôi.
very wonderful,
Giống như ngày hôm
cherishable.
qua sư cô Tịnh Niên
So
nói
we
bây giờ mọi người thực tập như một lần tráng rất
so
tốt,
like
mọi người
yesterday,
không biết
you
phone.
were taught
Cho nên khi mà mình tới mình
to
ngồi với
come
nhau thì rõ
back
ràng là mình có mặt,
together
mặt
and
ai cũng có ở đó hết,
to
không
be
thiếu mặt nào.
together and without the
Nhưng mà thực
phone.
sự
Let's
á,
say
là nó không có
we
phẩm chất,
it's
đúng không?
really
Nó không có phẩm chất.
of course
Thì
we are here with
năm
each with
2005 Viện Khoa học
everyone
Mỹ á, có một cái nghiên
in the
cứu
present moment. So in
một người trung bình thì
2005,
có khoảng
there's
12.000 hay
in
60.000
Germany
suy nghĩ mỗi ngày.
from the
Và
study
trong đó
found
thì có
out 2,000 to
80% là suy
60,000
nghĩ vô ích
thoughts each
hay là
day
bất thiện.
with an ordinary person,
95%
and
suy nghĩ là những suy nghĩ lặp lại của ngày hôm trước.
95% is only
Thì chúng ta thấy rõ
repetitive
ràng không?
of the
Là những suy
previous
nghĩ mà có ích
day.
á,
All
nó rất là
these
ít.
thinkings, only
Còn những suy nghĩ
5%
bình
of our
thường trong đời sống
thoughts
chúng ta là những suy
are
nghĩ không cần thiết
beneficial. The
hay là
rest
có
is
hại
just
nữa. Mà thói
unnecessary,
quen suy nghĩ,
if not
thói quen
dangerous
nói với
and
người như vậy.
harmful. But
Thì khi mình
this
thực tập hơi
tells
thở
us this
là
is
mình
how
huấn
our
luyện mình
mind normally goes.
trở về
And
với
when we
hiện tại.
practice, we train
Thì
our
cái câu hỏi
mind
đặt
to
ra
come
là
back to the present
không có
moment.
suy
The
nghĩ thì có thành vô
question
tri
is
không?
now, if
Sau
we
này là
don't,
con
we
hỏi
stop
con, hôm
thinking,
mà con
is
nghe
that
tâm
like a
giảng, con hay hỏi
thinkingless
con hay
person?
hỏi lắm.
Is like
Mặc dù
without
con không có lên hỏi
perception?
thưa ông, nhưng mà trong khi con thực tập á, là con hay
Um,
hỏi lắm. Giống
So
như là
I normally
hồi nãy là con
ask
nói là sư ông hay nói là ngày
when
xưa
I
tìm ra
practice, I
kinh
usually
6
ask
phép có nhiều hơi
myself a
thở, xong có khổng tử
questions.
xong là người hạnh phúc nhất
So
trên đời.
when, like I
Và xong là
told
thành
you,
công trong cái
like
sự tập đó.
our teacher has been the
Ngay ngay
most
lúc đó nó
happy,
có một câu hỏi đi
the
lên trong con á.
happiest person on earth. If the day he
Nếu
found
như
out about
không thực tập hơi thở
Anapati
thì có thành công
Sutta.
không?
So
Thực
if
tập không có
we
thành công không?
so if we
Có
are
con
not
đường khác không? Hay chỉ có một
successful
con
with
đường này là duy nhất?
coming back to our breathing, is this the only
Thì câu trả
path to
lời chắc
success?
chắn là có.
Of course, there will be a way. It
Người ta
doesn't have
nói
to go
là đạo
through.
Phật á, là
Um,
có 8 vạn 4
they
ngàn pháp
say
môn. Có nghĩa là có rất là nhiều cửa ngõ
84,000
để cho
Dharma
mình
doors
thành
in
công.
the Buddhism. So these
Để cho mình
84,000
thành
Dharma
tựu
doors
chỉ
for
có một
us
thương yêu. Thực tập
to
hơi thở là
attain.
một cửa ngõ, chứ không phải là
So
duy nhất. Trong truyền
practicing
thống Phật
with
giáo á, nó
the
cũng có những vị họ
Anapanasati
đạt
Sutra
tới
is
những cái
not
trình độ
only one.
hiểu biết và
So
thương yêu cao.
in order to
Họ trì
attain
chú, họ
the
niệm
full
Phật, hoặc
highest
là những cái truyền thống tâm
understanding,
linh
the
khác không phải
other
là đạo Phật.
traditions,
Họ cũng có những cái cách
the
thức tu tập
Buddhist
và đạt
traditions
tới những trình
have
độ tâm linh.
other ways, of
Nhưng
course,
mà tại
and
sao
not
mình
only
chọn
Buddhists,
đi theo
but
con đường
other
này?
non-Buddhist
Bởi vì khi
traditions,
mình
they
thực tập mình
have
thấy
their
có hiệu
way
quả.
too. But why we
Có nghĩa
focus on
là
the
nó phù hợp với
breathing
mình.
is because when we practice, we see the
Và cái người thầy của mình
effectiveness.
á, không có nói
And
nhảm,
our teacher is not
không
only
nói những gì không
speaking,
làm,
he's
không dùng các
really
lời để tu học và giảng
he's
dạy.
really puts
Cho
his
nên
teaching
khi mà mình sống mình thấy những
into
cái gì ông trải
action.
qua, những
He
cái gì
had
ông
gone
dạy, những
through
gì
this,
xưa ông
so he
tu.
had
Và chính mình khi có
experienced
khó khăn
this.
cũng đem nó ra để thực tập.
So
Thì
he
nó vun bồi cái niềm
it's
tin
not
của mình
just
một
through
cách
the
rất là vững
words
chắc.
or the
Cho nên trong cuộc đời
literature,
nó có
he's
nhiều con
really
đường
puts
để
it
mình
to
đi lắm.
practice.
Chúng ta không thể đi
So
tất cả
in
các
this
con đường mà
life,
chúng
there's
ta chỉ
so many
chọn cái con đường
paths. We
mà
cannot
phù
walk
hợp với
all
mình
paths. We just only
và nó
have
ít
to
nhiều. Cuộc
choose
đời
the
có bao nhiêu
suitable
thời gian để
path
mà mình đi tung
that
tăng
can brings
cái gì nó
effect
phù hợp,
and
nó thích hợp,
beneficial
nó
for
nuôi
us
dưỡng mình thì mình
instead
chọn
of
thôi.
going round and round
Thì lúc
in
đó
our
câu hỏi
life,
là
because
nếu mà
life
không có
is too
suy nghĩ
short to go
thì có
round and
phải là
round.
vô tri không?
So I ask
Nếu không có
myself,
suy nghĩ thì ai
if I
là
stop
người
thinking,
lập
and
ra những
then
kế
we
hoạch cho
would
tương
be
lai? Có phải là lúc nhỏ
the
khi mình học mẫu
non-thinking
giáo
person.
là mình
So
đã được dạy là
we
con phải chuẩn bị,
so
con phải
when
cắt
we were
cặn
a
rồi cắt hộp
baby, when
sữa
we
để
were
ngày mai
toddler
con
in
đến
the
trường.
first grade, We learn already
không
how
biết
to
văn hóa nào
prepare
sao mà
ahead
hồi
of
xưa
time,
lúc còn nhỏ là lúc
tomorrow to
nào
prepare
mình có
ahead.
tiền á thì để
Like, I don't
bỏ
know
vào
about
đất
the
đó, để rồi
culture
mình nhét
here,
vô, rồi
but
mình
in
đầu
my
tư tương
cultures, I
lai là
have a
bé.
little piggy
Bé thì
bank.
đọc cái con heo
So
đất
whoever
là sẽ
gave me
có
money, I
tiền để
put
mở
in the
người mới.
bank, in
Đó,
that little
đầu tư
piggy
vô tương
bank.
lai là lúc
So
nhỏ bé đi học
invest
những cái
into
đó
the
thì một
future.
xíu
From
mình đã
very
học đó,
first day, we
học
already
để cho
learn
tương lai của mình.
how to
Giống như là mình
plan
lên
for
trường
our
thì thầy
future
cô
and
sẽ dạy nếu
invest
em mà
the
không có
present
học
moment
thì
for the
em không có một
future.
tương lai tươi
So
sáng.
all
Học
the
toán để làm
teachers
gì, học
have
văn để
taught
làm
us
gì,
how
vân
to
vân, vân vân.
focus. You have to learn to be diligent now in order
Thì
to be
trong đạo Phật á,
successful in the
thực ra
future. So you
ừm,
see,
bây giờ
but in Buddhist
mình uống
tradition,
một ly trà,
simply when we, like for instance,
khi mình
when
uống ly
we
trà là
drink
như uống một ly
a
trà.
cup of
Trong
tea,
khi mình uống một
like
ly
right
trà,
now the
mình có
tea
cần phải
cup,
suy nghĩ không?
I don't have tea, but I just glass. Just for
Mình có
imagine if
phải là
you're
vô tri
drinking
không?
this tea,
Khi mình uống một
you
ly
know
trà,
that this is the tea,
mình không cần
a
phải
cup
suy
of
nghĩ gì hết.
tea.
Mình chỉ
You have to
cảm
think
nhận và
about the
thưởng thức
tea.
thôi.
You simply enjoy it
Mình
and
nghe
feel it.
tay mình
You
cầm,
don't have to
mình
think
cảm được những
about
cái
it.
hơi ấm
You don't have
của
to
ly trà.
ask anything.
Mũi mình
You only
nghe được
have
cái mùi
to
thơm
feel it. You
của ly
sense it.
trà.
You smell
Và
it,
khi mình uống,
the
mình cảm
fragrance.
nhận
And then
được
when
cái
you
vị
drink it, you
ngọt, vị đắng
swallow, you
của
taste
trà.
the sweetness, the
Và mình thưởng
bittersweet
thức trọn vẹn
taste of the beat
và mình
of
thực
the
sự
tea,
đang
and you
sống,
fully
thực sự
enjoy it.
sống.
That is the
Lúc đó không
fully
cần suy nghĩ.
alive. That moment, do you really go through the
Cho
realm
nên
of thinking?
con người mình là
No.
thích suy nghĩ, thích
But
đặt
we
vấn đề.
tend, the
Nhưng mà
tendency of the
rất ít
humanity is to
mình thực
think
sự
and
sống.
to question about everything.
Cho nên khi
And
á, mà
that's
mình dừng lại
when
mình suy
we're
nghĩ
not truly
là để
living.
cho
So when we
trong
stop
tâm
thinking, we're
hồn, trong
trying to
thân của
stop
mình nó có
thinking
một cái khoảng
is
không
only to
để
allow
mình thực
that
sự sống,
period of
thật sự tận
silence in
hưởng.
our body and mind in order
Khi
to
mình
truly
ngồi
and fully
trên
enjoy
núi, mình
life.
ngắm mặt
When
trời
we
mọc,
sit on top of the mountain, let's
cái
say
khoảnh
on a
khắc đó
mountain,
mình không cần
we
nói gì hết.
fully have to
Mình chỉ tận
enjoy
hưởng
this the
cái vẻ đẹp của đất
sunrise.
trời.
We only have
Lúc đó
to
con người của mình và thiên nhiên
mesmerize
nó
ourselves
làm
with the
một.
beauty of nature. We are
Lúc đó
one with
mình cũng
nature.
tươi mát,
We
mình
are
cũng ấm
also
áp
as
như mặt
fresh,
trời,
as
không
warm
cần phải
like
suy nghĩ
the
gì hết.
sun without having to think of anything
Trong đạo Phật
at
á,
that very
thì không
moment.
có nói tới suy
So
nghĩ.
in
Thường suy
Buddhism,
nghĩ là hay là
we
suy
don't
nghĩ thường
talk
là
about
cái gì
thinking.
nó hơi tiêu cực,
Thinking tend
suy
to
nghĩ
be
miên man vô định.
thinking
Nhưng mà trong đạo Phật
aimlessly,
có dùng từ tư
thinking
duy.
all the times that is without
Chẳng
any
hạn
focus, without any
tư duy á, một
direction.
cái suy nghĩ nó rất là khác nhau.
So
Suy
in
nghĩ là miên man,
Buddhism,
nghĩ cái này nghĩ cái kia
um,
vô định. Nhưng mà khi mà mình tư
thinking,
duy á, là mình có một cái
we're
mục
talking
đích.
about right thinking,
Ví dụ mình thấy một cái vấn đề
contemplation.
mình muốn giải
When
quyết
we see something,
thì mình hít vào sâu
some
vào
problems,
trong cái
we
khoảnh
have
khắc
to
hiện tại.
we
Mình
establish
đưa
ourselves
mình
in the very
thở,
present moment,
mình
and
để
we
cho
are
tâm mình
quiet our
nơi tĩnh
mind,
tâm, nó thở,
we
nó thoải
quiet our
mái. Sau
body,
đó mình đem cái vấn
and
đề ra để trước mặt
clarity
mình.
will be in our
Trong cái
mind.
ánh sáng chánh
So
niệm
then
đó, mình
that we
quán
use
chiếu,
the
mình tư
light of
duy về nó.
mindfulness, we
Mình
invite the
đang ý thức là
issues
mình
and
đang tư
the
duy, mình phải nói
dilemma
theo tư
into
duy.
it, and then we are really
Và trong
looking
khi mà
at it,
mình
and there's the
quán chiếu
right
về vấn đề đó mà
contemplation,
mình
right
thấy rằng
thinking.
những cái
And
lo lắng, những cái
during
sợ hãi nó đang kéo
the
mình đi.
um,
Ngay lúc đó cái ý thức mình sẽ ồ
contemplation,
không
and
còn
we
dám tư
see
duy
that
nữa.
our mind
Mình
is
đang lạc vào
being
suy nghĩ
carried
mà
away
mình phải thở và
aimlessly,
mình phải trở
we
về.
have to use the light of
Cho nên
mindfulness to
thầy có sư
catch
phụ
ourselves, to bring ourselves
mong có rất là
back
nhiều những buổi học
to
cho
to
những
the
cái
present
chương
moment,
trình, ví dụ như năm nay
and to
2024
stop the aimless
thì mình
thinking.
đã phải có những cái buổi họp để
And
chuẩn
the
bị cho
brothers and
năm
sisters have a
2025.
lot of meetings throughout the year,
Có rất là nhiều
especially
làm
the
sao mà
one
khóa tu mọi người
meeting
tới thoải mái nhất,
before
làm sao cái chủ đề khóa tu nó
deciding
phù
for the
hợp nhất
year's
và làm sao
retreats,
mình
the
phải phát
amount of
họa
retreats, and
nó
how
thích
to
ứng với thời
deliver the
đại.
Dharma
Tất
talk
cả những cái đó là hoạch định
suitably
cho tương lai hết.
for the
Nhưng mà
current
trong
time,
khi
more
mà mình bàn
engaging.
thảo, mình
And
nhìn
when we
nó với cái ánh
discuss
sáng
about it,
chánh
we
niệm
look
thì
at
mình sẽ
this
không có bị
with
lo
the
lắng, sợ hãi
mind of
cuốn đi
mindfulness,
và
with
nó
the
trở
light
thành
of
một niềm
mindfulness.
vui, một
We
cái
won't
niềm
be
yên bình
carried away by
cho mình.
anxiety and worries and fears. It
Thì
becomes
khi mà
mainly
mình trở
only
về
nourishing
thiết lập
meeting
được thân tâm
to
trong cái
think
tình trạng
about
an toàn
the
nhất thì
things
mình
that we're
nuôi
gonna
dưỡng cái ý thức
for the year.
về sự
So when we
sống
come back
trong
fully and
mình và trong
establish
gia đình
ourselves in the
nó lớn
present
mạnh
moment,
thì cái đó là
our
trách nhiệm.
life with the
Những cái lợi ích mà
mindfulness,
chánh niệm nó
this
đem
will
tới cho
bring
mình á
a lot of
là nó cho
benefits,
mình cái
and
khả vô tư và cảm nhận cuộc sống
allowing
nó sâu
us
sắc
to
hơn.
fully appreciate
Khi
life,
mình có mặt
to
ở đây mình
feel
cảm nhận cuộc
life,
sống nó rất là sâu
and
sắc.
to fully
Nó
deeply
làm cho
live
tâm
our
nó trầm
lives,
lắng bên trong.
allowing our mind to be
Thì tại sao cái đó
clear
thì mình
and and calm. Sometimes I really like to speak in Vietnamese because some words in Vietnamese very specifically say when we calm, lắng nghe, to listen is really has two things to really calm in order to hear. So listening composed of in Vietnamese composed of two components. One is calm and one is to listen in order to listen to our own self. And then because many times we don't listen to our own self, we only listen to others without knowing our own very body, like our stomach has we may have GI problems, and then we just like to eat spicy food, but we really hurts our stomach. So that doesn't show that we listen to our body. And so our body has a little wounded, the inner child in each and every one of us. We need to be calm. We need to be clear, like a lake, like calm and clear, like a lake, in order to see and to feel our inner child, our own voice. And so, like a glass of or OJ, orange juice, you can see the sediment, sediment. You can then the rest of the glass of orange juice will be clear. So it's same as our body. So when we clear like a glass of orange juice, in order to allow us to see our habit energies, our ways of thinking that can bring us towards afflictions and suffering, um, um, allowing us to fully live our life. When I became a being a monastic, I was able to recognize and realize this, to be able to feel. If we live without feeling, it's like a dead person. We have to fully feel. And feeling doesn't go through the dimension of thinking. When somebody does some beautiful, wholesome action, offers some wonderful action, acts of kindness, our mind suddenly gives rise to the mind of happiness, of joy. It's because our ability, capability to sense the beautiful and kind acts from others, and whoever can sense the most, then that gives that person the most joy and happiness. What is pointless to live life without feelings? We have to be able to feel. One time I was thinking, well, let's say if asking a question, what makes me so joyful as a monastic? I realized my most joyful thing is to my ability to sense, to feel things. It's the same thing, but I was caught in in aimless thinkings, in a vicious cycle of thinking. It's the same kind of love offered by my mom, but I haven't seen anything. But now with the practice, I was able to feel it. And humans can feel. That is the most precious gift the Creator has given us, with ability to feel and to sense. And when we have the stronger mindfulness in us, we can get in touch with many things and see life is more beautiful. And we can come in touch with many wonderful, beautiful conditions of life. Then it increases our happiness. We suffer because we tend to go seeking for things that we lack. Isn't that right? Practicing to practice allows us to be able to see, to come back to ourselves and not to become someone we are not. We only simply come back to us and to recognize and acknowledge what we have currently as conditions of happiness. That's enough. Like on the serving line. When we're waiting to serve our food, we see the rice not being cooked or too dry and the food is too salty. Our first reaction is like, what kind of cooking is this? That is our humans common habitual energy of reacting and judging. But if we have a practice, we come, we twist the situation around and say we are allowed to come, and we have the opportunity to practice during the 5-6 days of retreat, and we are able to sit and walk and practice. But the rest of the people, some people, some monastics have to stay in the kitchen and cook for us. So then it gives rise to the mind of gratitude, and then we started to react differently to the salty food. We could just simply dilute it, you see. And then during the night of sleep, we have tendency to judge, like, oh, our roommates just snoring a lot, we cannot sleep, and we cost a lot for the airline tickets and stuff, and we're judging. Instead of judging and laying there in bed and getting annoyed, we recognize our annoyed and our anger, and we recognize and we twist the situation around again. We give rise to the mind of gratitude, and recognizing many people are currently suffering in Vietnam, in northern Vietnam, through the enormous storm and flood, and they lost their homes and their beloved ones, and not and or even their wealth has been gone through the piles of dust, or the flood and the landslide. And we are really sit and practice in a wonderful great hidden mountain. So it's really nothing, is minimal with what the snoring is or the lack of sleep. If we have the mind of gratitude, it's so easy for us to be joyful and be happy, and it gives rise to the ease of the body and mind. And when we're grateful, we're not likely to be angry, and we don't really complain. We don't tend to complain, you see. So when we are grateful, we are less likely to complain. So remember, for many of us who have tendency to complain a lot, we have to come back and give rise to the mind of gratitude. When we have gratitude, we don't have um, mind of comparison and complexity. So our teacher has written many calligraphy say, as long as we have gratitude, we will have happiness. Whoever practice so wonderfully in their mindfulness practice, they are very keen. They master their situation on ordinary life. They can handle this difficult situation so wonderfully whenever the people practice so strongly in mindfulness. One time I traveled with our teacher to Italy for the retreat. About 3 p.m., everyone received their room, the hotel rooms, and they wash. Then they went to the cafeteria in the hotel to have dinner and spaghetti and all split peas or something, or Holland peas or snap peas. And our teacher asked myself, like, what are you eating so wonderful? What so tasty food? And then I said, I have snappy, so sweet. Would you like some, Seong? And our teacher said, okay, I can try 2 spoons of the snappies. And he said it's delicious. So the joyful ambience at that moment, everybody was greeting and talking to each other. So one sister reminded me, because this wonderful sister with full freshness, every time I have asked her to keep reminding me something, if I please feel free to remind me. So this sister reminded me something. I tended to ask her because I know I'm always frowning. I thought sometimes I get frown, I squint my face and my eyes, and some people can misunderstand me. They think that I'm not happy or I'm angry at someone or something. So whenever this sister, I ask her to remind me whenever you see me like that, could you please remind me or give me a hint so I will know. So this sister turned around and said, "Oh, Sister Nghiem, you have beautiful smile. Please keep smiling more, okay? Smile and stop frowning." And I did truly ask her to help me, so she did remind me. But that ambience, that atmosphere, oh, so joyful. Suddenly she reminds me, and I felt a little dis-ease, or I don't know how my face at that moment was. I was confused a little, and I looked and she looked at me frowning too. She said, "Okay, Sister Uyen is beautiful the way she is. You doesn't have to smile. You don't have to smile." And our teacher started to smile, cracking up, and then I cracked up too. Everybody. So then our teacher started to go on to another topic, but everybody cracked up. You see what so I am a disciple. I was a student. I of course I was. It's easy for me to see to understand that our teacher has asked us to practice smiling. Um, I don't know. It's not because something is funny or anything, but practicing to smile in order to cause body and mind at ease. Um, so our teacher didn't. Um, um, yeah, so he just wanted to remind it like he didn't want me to feel awkward. So he handled the situation by saying like just practicing smiling, even though the situation is not funny. Um, it, so he's very skillful um, to change the situation to make everybody joyful and crack up, you know. So practicing simply in breath, we are aware that of our in breath and aware of our entire body while we sit, stand, walk, or lying down. Wherever stressful tension, we can bring our mind home to the body, to that very spot, and to calm it and to calm it, allow us to see it deeply, to see the roots of all the problems and situation, to see why the same situation, why others may not feel as much suffering, but why I feel so wounded and suffering. So we can see when we calm enough, we can see deeply the root of the mental formations in order to transform, to work on it. Did you see? Is it easy to practice this? Why are you smiling? Is it easy or difficult? You see difficult, then you raise your hand so I can see. Mm. For me, practice is not easy. Is very difficult. Why? Because it comes from our volunteer. Um, no one puts the guns and force us to practice. It's because we see us for ourselves that is good. We come here to the retreat because we want to, we aspire, we volunteer ourselves. Same thing with becoming monastics. No one had forced us. Is the bodhicitta, is our decision, is our volunteers. Mm. So bodhicitta, the beginner's mind is strong, is always strong, but discipline will bring us to success, but not the energy, not the energy of action. Is more of the diligence. So that's why we have to train ourselves to come back to fully to be fully present in the present moment. So there's always protocols in all the practice centers. Whenever you see the monasteries or practice centers have a long list of protocols, that means their practice is not very strong. So we're very embarrassed to see so many items in our protocols. We're embarrassed because we haven't practiced to preserve the right way of practice. That's why it keeps on a guidelines, becomes guidelines and protocols so long a list. So when we first became a monastic, we have aspired to become a such form, such person. But from a long time, after practicing for a long time, you can see the solid, after many years of solid practice of mindfulness, they radiate out the beauty. The beauty is in the form of ease, of confidence, of freedom. And so this person, everyone wants to come near. And in Thailand, there's one sister. Every time you look at her, I look at her and it brings me so much joy. Without having her say anything, her sister Nghiem is so joyful, so simple, so free, so at ease with everything. So she doesn't have to speak anything or say anything. I'm already happy to see her. So these kind of people will make us want to come close to them, because many times most of us are not very confident. So therefore, I know, I'm sorry if, please forgive me if I touch on this topic. We think that external beauty will touch up and make us, so we tend to focus on our form. So we tended to look at that, but it's not all. Of course, the external form is important, but it's not all. It's for long-lasting beauty. It's not mainly on the external. So the mindfulness practitioner is not because of wealthy, they rich of money, but it's because the strong practitioner is because they are kind, they are cordial, they are polite, they are at ease, they don't demand anything from anyone. They look everyone with the mind of the embracing, with kindness. This practitioner doesn't discriminate who, the liking and not liking whoever. So this cannot be coming from the money you cannot buy. It comes from the inner strength, the inner practice. So it sounds so simple, but we have to put down the practice in order to achieve it. So that's why practice is not simple, it's not easy. It's quite challenging, because all the children can put it to practice with the language, with the words, the techniques, but to really embody the practice, it takes a long time. So so one Dhamma talk, our teacher asked, "Are you tired? Are you boring of the talk yet? It's the same thing. Is the breathing? Is the step? Are you tired? Are you bored? Why are you boring? Why are you tired? I've been speaking this for tens of, like more than decades. I'm not tired, but why are you tired?" So I don't remember what year of this topic, of this Dhamma talk from our teacher, why he is never tired of talking the same thing. Because every moment is the renewed in him, is the beginning anew with each and every moment. Every moment is fresh with him. So the breathing and the steps are never the same. So every time is renew, is rebirth. So whenever we come back to each new breathing and new step, we have a different understanding, a different insight. So when we first learn it, we have to learn to master it, how to sit. We sit properly, and we cannot tilt it left right all the time. This certainly will be boring and will give us fatigue and somnolence. So if we can master that position and master our body, it will certainly will eventually bring us ease and calmness. So we need a right, proper environment in order to strengthen our practice or strengthen our spirituality. So if we, the Vietnamese proverb said, choose the right friend. Choose if we are near the ink, we'll be like dark as ink, or we near the mud, we'll be like mud. So it's not discriminatory proverb, but it tells you the affinity, how we navigate our life, because the like like charge attract. So we live with who, we will be influenced by the ones surrounding us. Their mental formations, their mindset will be influence our mindset. So that's why parenting, the parents always worrying about their children hanging out with whom, because if we are with the people who gossiping a lot, our mind will become like that. But if we choose to come to practice centers, to the right wholesome directions, then will our mind will be in that direction. So our mind, if we are hanging out with the friends who like to organize retreats, to plant trees, to come to practice mindfulness, or to protect Mother Earth, our mind will be influenced by those friends. So we are encouraged a lot to find the sangha, to the group of like-minded people, like-minded community, in order to maintain our practice long enough and to guide us. And I dare, if you come to Plum Village to have one moment without practice, there's none to be found. I dare you find one. So eating is also is a meditation. Walking, sitting, lying, everything is meditation and practice. And also silence, noble silence is also a meditation, a practice to come back to ourselves and deep looking at our own mind, our own body. So each and every moment of our daily life is a moment for us to establish our body and mind in the present moment. There's no such moment that falling out of that category. So, but when we come back home, it's very hard to maintain this schedule of practice. If our family members, everyone practices easy for us, but if we see it's wonderful at the monastery, but at home is no one motivates us. So but who stops us from practicing? So at home, when you go to toilets or you go to bathroom, who stops you from practicing? Who stops us from practicing, from walking from our parking lot to our office? Who stops us from practicing walking meditation? Who stops us from eating meditation? The point is, can we maintain it or not? Is the question. Because our tendency is to feel this like insensitive and get tired and get bored out, get boredom, and we tended to procrastinate. Okay, we're tired, we're lazy. Okay, today, tomorrow, maybe another tomorrow. It's procrastinator we are. That's a tendency of humanity. But if we see our life is so precious, we can start training, to train, and it's hard. It's like when we were young. We said, the parents said, if you don't brush your teeth, you might have cavity and stuff. But we didn't care as a child. We didn't care. I don't care. We just don't care. Don't touch my teeth. The parents don't touch. But the parents really train us. They force us, they pull us, and we cry, and we nag, and all kinds of stuff, just to simply brush our teeth as a child. But once we got that going, like training ourselves to get there, oh, we can't stop brushing our teeth if we don't brush it each day. You see, any of us here not brushing our teeth every day? No one. You see, everyone smiles and laughs. Because without that, we cannot be healthy and cannot be fresh. Same thing with practice. Each day, regularly, 5 minutes, if we commit to that, then it's simple. Regularity and training is so important. So many times in the community, we go hang out for outings, and we forgot, we haven't got the regular schedule, the rhythm of schedules. We felt, so many of us, most of all of us felt something lacking, because we lack this regularity. You see, it's like our nourishment, because we have trained as a community to sit meditation, to walk meditation, and all this. So without it, we felt a lacking of something. It's really something fundamental being lacked. Without it, we felt empty. We felt not normal because of the training. Vietnamese believe, the culture of Vietnamese believe in the virtues, the merits, and going to temples or monastery, we all tended to offer. Offering is, of course, is wonderful. Brings about merits. Like we offer money to build a new road, build a new meditation hall. It's so wonderful. It brings a lot of merits to our life, because it brings it helps other people meditate. You see, but when we practice without material offering, but still offering, we cultivate a lot of merits with the practice, but it's very silent, it's invisible. Mm, like for instance, a car accident, the car have gone down the ditch, or the ravine, and no one had died. You see, so then the saying say, like, oh, the people are so lucky, they have, they are fortunate. The fortune is because the merits is very invisible, that they've been building and they've been planting over the years, over the lifetimes in the past. When we see somebody suffering, we like we came first to the campground, and we already put up our tent, and then later on we see somebody came much later and they didn't know how to put up their tents. We jump right over and help them right away, and then we already help them to have a wonderful tent to settle in. Or when we have a, a, a whole bunch of bananas, and we hang them up, and we left them there for the people to pick a piece of candy, or a tea bag, or a banana. So the mind of offering like that is the mind of offering that can bring about the simple joys. And when we see the a fellow practitioners with the sad face or something concerning, we put out our hand and hold her hand or his hand, and walk and show the boy, the girl how to walk, and then you see their joy, that joyful smile on their face, then it multiplies, it makes you happy to see. So offering, and when we practice mindfulness, we are aware of the situation around us, who needs what, and what needs to be done, and what needs not to be said, what needs to be said, and what needs us not to say. So when to say what is requiring a mind of mindfulness, requires energy of mindfulness to be aware of the situation. I am in the Gen X. Generation X is Gen Z now. Generation Z now. I don't know what they're talking. Their slogan is what, but my Generation X is funny. Is there's one of funny story, funny things. In the loving relationship, the girl always asks the lady always asks the man like um, a question, but the girls like to ask this kind of question, but that this is unanswerable. If they ask yes, it hurts you. uh, uh, it's like this. If your mom and me fall down to the river, who you pick up first? Who do you save? Of course, the boy cannot answer. The boy has to really breathe to suit her heart. So you have to say what? Yeah, and, I will rescue both of you, my mom and you. But the girl would be saying, no, you only have to rescue one. You would choose your mom or me because of the water is so strong, the current is so strong. So then the boy may say, okay, I jump down and see whoever next to me. I will rescue that person. Whoever has the capacity to survive, I will rescue first. And she's still not happy. She's still not. I mean, if I rescue my mom and let you die, I can he basically the man cannot answer either way. Why do we need to ask such crazy question in order to get more suffering for the boy and suffering for the girl, for ourselves? That's crazy. It's nonsensical question. Like one elderly lady one day, the story says, the elderly woman wants to start learning how to swim at such an old age, and the swimming teacher said, why do you want to do, why don't you open Thầy Mạng Tuệ channel to learn to do Tai Chi? Why you always so happy and healthy, and suddenly now you want to learn swimming? Why? And this elderly lady said, oh, too bad. Too many things. Every time my son recently married, and every time they had a fight, his wife would ask, if your mom or me fell down the river, who you rescue? So I gotta learn how to swim now as an old age, of course, to allow my boy more at ease with his wife, so that his wife doesn't have to get mad at him for answering saving his mother. So eventually she graduated from swimming lessons. So one day, young couple continued to fight, and the girl kept asking, the wife kept asking, who do you rescue if I'm drowning with your mom? And the boy said, the son said, oh, don't you worry, my mother knows now how to swim, you don't worry. And this girl still not quite settled. And the wife said, you don't love me, you never thought anything concerned about me. In a difficult moment you have to jump down the river, you have to jump. She expected him to answer like, I have to jump down. Now it's over his head. So he said, you want me to jump down now? I will jump, okay. And then you remember, my mother will save me, because I don't, and you will definitely die because I don't know how to swim. And surely my mom will rescue me because she knows how to swim. And definitely you would die. And that is a funny story. I want to stir up this, perhaps us like that, somewhere like that. We don't even know our husbands don't know how to swim. We don't even care. We just live and we don't know how to understand. We don't learn how to understand and learn to love. We just put them in a very difficult situation like that to choose, to having to make an ultimatum like that. And as a filial piety and love, you have to choose which one. In that very question is so nonsensical, because it makes no sense. It's just so wrong to question such a dilemma like that, to wound ourselves and to wound others, to hurt others around us. Once we understand and understand we would never put people in a corners like such. We never certainly put our beloved ones in such corners to having to make a ultimatum that no such thing can bring right or wrong. And if our daily life is full of understanding and love, then we will suffer less. So many people ask questions like, why coming to Deer Park, there's no such Buddha statue here in the meditation hall? So on the mountain, you see the Buddha statue. Why don't you walk all the way up to the Yên Tự mountain to see, to pay homage to the Buddha statue? Of course, paying respect to the Buddha statue is the right thing and the wonderful thing. It's like to show our respect, like to our ancestors, to our teacher. But whenever we have mindfulness in each and every speech and actions we do, acts is already fulfilling. Is we already had Buddha. That's we are already Buddha. We don't have to go all the way to seek the big Buddha statue in order to embody that, in order to show that. As long as we embody the respect, embody the practice of mindfulness, we are already, that's enough. The Amitabha, oh no, Maitreya Buddha. If you see Maitreya Buddha in Japan, you see in Japan is very easy. Um, um, the Buddha, the Maitreya Buddha statue is so big and so with the big tummy, because in the Asian culture they think that is that's composed a lot of merits, a lot of virtues. But when you go to Africa, you see the Buddha statue in the black paint. So depending on the countries, the cultures, that they will portray the Buddha statue that appropriate to that culture, to that environment. So the Buddha and the Buddhism is embodied according to the people and the culture and the time. But truly, every time we have understanding and love, we already see Buddha inside of us. So in the beginning, we always need the teacher, the Buddha statue, in order to prostrate. We need a teacher to keep reminding us. Because I read the old path of white clouds that allows me to feel close to this teach, to come in touch with the Buddha, not from the outside. And to me, our teacher is the closest Buddha. So whenever we breathe and we talk and smile in mindfulness, and love, and in our eyes with love for everyone, then we already have a teacher in us. We already have Buddha in us. And so our breathing with mindfulness is very nourishing and is very healing to us. So this is the book. We have the title, like the title of our retreat. The breathing has the capacity to nourish and heal us. It came from one of the retreats in English by our teachers. So Thầy Pháp Niệm, Brother Pháp Niệm had helped to transcribe it or translate it into Vietnamese. So we have this book. Back in the days, we never had YouTube or anything electronic devices or social media. We came right into the Dhamma hall and listened to a teacher. So we really were craving for this, for one book to have this. So we asked Brother Pháp Niệm to translate or to manifest this book. So then he had translated, composed all the teachings that Thầy did in English into this Vietnamese. He translate because that teaching our teacher did during that retreat was the 16 exercises of mindful breathing, um, and how to use the energy of mindfulness in order to nourish ourselves and to heal and transform. So if you want to go deep into this practice, you can find this book to go deeper in the practice, because one or two Dhamma talks not enough. And this is Anapanatuta, this book, very complete and clear to help you review all the 16 exercises of breathing with full awareness. So the time is drawing near, and I just want to remind that we want to this time is precious, and we can cherish this moment and the practice to nourish and to heal ourselves. And if possible, we can practice speaking less, because if we speak more without being mindful, we can we can be carried away in the loss of in the talks, in the speaking. The all the patriarchs or Zen masters talk less; they talk more about the dharmas. But we tended to speak about things a lot more than we speak about the Dharma. So maybe this is an invitation for us to practice walking meditation more. Many of us, please, when you see anyone do practice walking meditation, don't laugh at them. More like applaud them or praise them, or many of us can also sit in the corners here and there, or the foot of the trees, on the outside of the scheduled time. Those wonderful practitioners of mindfulness, they speak really little. I am not a good practitioner, so I do speak more. So, but I'm aware. As long as I'm aware, the wonderful practitioners, they practice speaking the important things, and they speak less, but they're always so fresh. Everyone wants to come near them and to gravitate towards their place. But some of us may practice like not talking, but our face full of anger, so people tend to get away from us. But the basic quality, determining factor is the freshness and compassion and compassionate freshness. So I invite you to support each other, and to encourage each other to walk more, or to have tea meditation, walking meditation. We can simply enjoy tea in silence. Let's call tea meditation. I thank you, dear beloved community. Thank you, Sangha.